Hey everyone, it's Tim here. Let's look at Seether's Fine Again off of their first album, Disclaimer. We're in standard tuning today. It's one of their rare songs that we can play in standard tuning. If you want to play in half a step down tuning like they sometimes do live, then you can do that. But to play along to the album, you'll want to be in standard tuning. If you're going to play acoustically, as they often do, then we don't have to worry about amp settings, but to get the sound they do on the album, you'll want an amp that switches back and forth between clean and distorted channels really easily. So with that in mind, here's the intro. The intro to Fine Again is 4 measures long, and we really only have to learn 2 measures because then those repeat for a total of 4. We're going to start on this F sharp power chord, so 2nd fret of the bottom string, and we go up those 3 bottom strings and let them all ring together, and then come back to the bottom string, and now we're going to hit it again and slide up to the 5th fret where we're going to do an A power chord, and we're going to go up those 3 bottom strings. Okay, and then we have a couple of dead chucks in there, so you just want to let this hand kind of hang loose and lightly touch the strings while this hand does a down up, and that's to buy us time to get to an E chord. We're going to fret this open E chord, but we're not going to strum it. We're going to just hit the bottom E and then come up to the G string, down to the D and the A string. So we're kind of reversing the order of that arpeggio. Okay, so far we have this. Okay, now when we hit that last note, we're kind of going to slide it a little bit, and we're going to get to this last power chord. So you can think of this as a D power chord, 5th fret of the A string, but we're going to bar the 2 bottom strings to get the 5th in the bass, so we have an A in the bass of that. Okay, and we just hit that twice. And then there's a couple of those dead chucks in there again as we get down to the F sharp to repeat the whole thing. So nice and slow, it looks like this. And then we're into our verse. But before we get into the verse, let's just quickly talk about the lead guitar that we hear over top of the intro. And I'll give that a quick play and then we'll break it down. I've seen them play this lead line a couple of different ways live, and I'm going to go over one of my favorite variations with you in a second, but this is the way I believe they played it on the album, and it makes the most sense for fingering. Everything can ring together nice. We don't have to go back and forth out of position. We're just staying in one position the whole time, and it makes sense. So what we're going to do is start with an F sharp sus2 chord. Okay, so we're going to bar across the 9th fret, and we really are just concerned with fretting the A and the B strings at the 9th fret, and then we're going to add our 3rd and our pinky to the 11th fret on the D and the G strings. So all those notes together make an F sharp sus2 chord, and we're just going to go straight up that chord. Okay, now we're going to come back to the G string, lift your pinky to get the 9th fret on that string as well, and then go up to the B string and hit 2 more 9s on that. Come back to the G string, B string, and then add your 2nd finger on the 10th fret. Okay, and now that forms an F sharp minor 7 chord. So we're kind of just messing around with the F sharp minor chord forms here. So far we have this. Okay, now we're going to take our 2nd finger off and hit that 9th fret on B again, down to the G string, back to the B string, add that 2nd finger, back to the G string, take that 2nd finger off, back to the 9th fret, and then back to the G string, B string, then add your pinky back to the G string to that 11th fret, and we end up with the same chord shape fretted as we started with. Okay, so the whole thing nice and slow looks like this. Okay, and just try to keep everything ringing together as long as possible and keep it nice and clean. Now, I will just talk about one quick variation that I've seen them play live because it's kind of a favorite of mine. I like playing it this way as well. So we're going to start off with a different chord shape, actually. We're adding an E in here. So I'll put the chord chart on so that you can see how I'm gripping these notes. And we're starting with an F sharp. This is the same pitch, but we're just changing positions with it. But to start with the same chord as we would have started up with in the 9th position, we would need to fret this like so. But instead, we're going to rearrange our fingering and fret it like this. And what that means is that we're only going to have one note different in this whole thing. Our starting arpeggio is going to be this. Okay, so we're going to have that E as our 3rd note on the 5th fret of the B string. And before we would have had this. We would have had that F sharp out on the 7th fret, right? So we're going to refinger it like this and just play it like that. And now all of our other notes are the same. And you can come back and get the F sharp, that final F sharp. But anyways, those are the options that you've got for that opening line. And again, you can hear that line come in, especially in the 2nd verse, that you hear that re-enter. But let's get into the verse riffs now. If you love full song tutorials, be sure to hit like and subscribe so that you can keep seeing this content. Remember that all of my tutorials come with complete and accurate tab, and a lot of these you can even download my own personal Guitar Pro session along with the PDF file for it. Be sure to check out a few more videos from your favorite bands before you go, and let's get back to this Seether Fine Again guitar lesson. The verse is the same chords as we just did in the intro, just instead of arpeggiating them, we're going to strum them. Okay, so we start off that F sharp power chord. Okay, now we have this pattern of down, down, up, and then a down strum, but we're going to get some dead strings in there to facilitate the change up to our A power chord. Okay, so it's like, and then when we get to that A, we're going to go up, down, down. Okay, so together. And we get a couple more dead chucks in there again to move down to our E power chord. Okay, so it's. Okay, and now the rhythm that we play on those final 2 chords, the E and the D with the A and the bass, is the same rhythm as what we just did for the F sharp and A. You just repeat that rhythm. Down, down, up with a chuck, up, down, down, 2 chucks. And then we just repeat it. So here, nice and slow is the verse riff. Okay, and we play that for the whole verse, except for the last rotation, we need the distortion to kick in. So it's just a slightly different rhythm on the tail end of that. We play the first two chords the same. Now, when we get to the E, down, down, and then we get chucks in here. Down, up, down, down on that D, okay? So it's 1, 2, and a 3, and 4, okay? And then click that distortion on right when those chucks come in. So you'll do the down, down on the E, click the distortion on, and then we're into our chorus. So here's a quick playthrough of the chorus, and we'll talk about it. We keep the same rhythm in the chorus as we had in the verses, but we're going to play different chords. So we're going to start with the F sharp again, and it's the same rhythm that we had in the verse. But we're going to go up to a D with that A in the bass for our second chord. And then we're going to go down to a B with F sharp in the bass. So B, second fret of the A string, you could think of it as that power chord. So again, we're going to bar those bottom two strings so we have F sharp in the bass. And then we're going to use an E as our last, E power chord as our last chord. Now, it's the same rhythm though. Okay, so it's just a down, down, up, down chuck, up, down, down, and then down, up with chucks so that you can get to that next chord and repeat that. And then away you go around and around with that. And that's all the chorus riff is. It doesn't change. So I'll play through it nice and slow a couple of times and we'll move on to the next part. The next section we have to talk about is the bridge section, and the underlying rhythm guitar goes back to a clean tone at this point, so be sure you do that. And all that we're going to do is switch back and forth between two power chords. It's going to sound like this. Okay, that's all that guitar is doing, just going back and forth between those two chords, and it does it 4 times. And those are just eighth notes. So what we're gonna do is just go up those 3 strings. It's a D power chord, 5th fret of the A string. Just go up those 3 strings, do it twice, and then just the bottom 2 strings of that chord. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then down to the B with the same arpeggio pattern, and do that, it's 3.5 times, because on the 4th time you're only going to do the D and then stop it, because that last measure is a tacit measure for that guitar. And then over top of that we have a lead guitar that does a line, and that all of that is doing D octaves. So you're going to fret the 5th fret on the A string, and then with your pinky fret the 7th fret on the G string. So, and hold that, and then we're going to repeat on beat 4 and slide down to the 2nd fret. So you'll have the 2nd fret on A and the 4th fret on G. And we're just going to go back and forth. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, you do that 3.5 times. On that last measure of B, it's like this, 1. Okay, so you just put a palm mute on just that single note on the 2nd fret, and that's it for that last measure. And then we get into a little interlude section before we kick into the last chorus and outro. And the interlude section is just the chorus riff. So the basic underlying rhythm, the main rhythm guitar just does the chorus riff, and that happens all the way to the end of the song. It's just the chorus riff till out now. And over top of that, the lead guitar changes into another little lead line. The lead line that you hear starts out doing this. We're on the 9th fret of the high string and the 10th fret of the B string. And we're just gonna go those 2 notes, and then with your 3rd finger, hit the 10th fret on the high string and come back to the B string. And we're just going to toggle back and forth between those 2 notes. Okay, and that's what the lead guitar is doing for the interlude. There's a little 4-measure interlude plus the next chorus. So you're just going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and until the very end. At the very end of that first chorus, because we have a double chorus at the end, right? So at the very end, you hear this. So all that we're doing is adding our pinky onto the 12th fret of the high string now. So 1 and 2 and 3, okay? And then back to the 10th fret, and that's our measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, you know, it's just variations of that, really. There's a couple of repetitions that go like this. right? So once you know what they're doing, you'll be able to pick that up and get it exactly. And the whole track ends, that lead guitar starts doing this. Okay, so it's really just hitting a lot of E's, and then ending on the 9th and the 10th frets of the 2 high strings, right? And there's some modulation on that too. You can put some chorus on there, lots of reverb, make it sound big and huge like they've got, and really fill the space up. And that, my friends, is Seether Fine Again. I hope you enjoyed it and that this answered the questions that you have on how to play this awesome track. I'll be touching on some more Seether soon. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you can see all of this content with tabs and all your favorite bands. I'll see you next time.